So there's a lot of new people that we got this past month, and hopefully all of you guys that are a little bit more seasoned are able to help answer questions. And for the new people in the Discord, I'm just going to be pretty straightforward. We're not going to hold your hand, but we are going to give you a lot of opportunities to learn. We are going to give you to learn this craft and learn the strategies of trading, whether it's volume profile or if you learn the supply and demand zones through the VPOCs or POCs, and then if your intraday charting involves more about the orbs, you will not, and you cannot learn this in a month and be successful. There's people in this Discord even today, they're great traders, they understand the technical side, but then there's a little bit of a mental aspect that even me, I work on it every day. Not having biases, not biasing, taking profits, but given all those things every day, you got to kind of think like a robot and kind of repeat it. Otherwise, you're trading, you might go up 20 days, let's say $100 a day, and then you oversize in a position, and you lose all your gains in one trade. And I know all of you have done it, where you work 2 weeks super duper hard to make money, and then you get a little bit of overconfidence, which is natural for humans, right? And you're like, oh man, I have the bias, I know the setup, and there's no setup. You probably just want it, you got greedy, you wanted more money quickly, and you played the wrong setup, and you wipe out your gains, and then you doubt yourself, and then you quit on everyone, you quit on yourself, and then you go into the same cycle over and over and over, which you don't believe in yourself, and then you doubt, you go find for another Discord, or you jump from Discord, you become a Discord butterfly. I'm not suggesting that we're the best Discord, but I think you can gain a lot of knowledge from here. And, if we are not able to kind of craft a personal trading kind of strategy for you, at least you'll have the ability and the tools to pick it for yourself, whether you stay in the Discord or not. But hopefully you learn something where you can apply it and kind of make sense to trading. A lot of our Discord is based on volume profile, the VPOCs, the POCs, the value areas. And the only two things, when you think about market option theory that moves the market, is price and volume. All the other stuff that a lot of people use, if they're using it successfully, I'm not doubting that it doesn't work. There's a lot of successful traders with EMAs and VWAPs and whatever that might be, but the lagging indicators, I just don't use any. When you think about VWAP, it's not a lagging indicator. It's based on the volume there, and then that VP itself is not a lagging indicator just because it's volume off the day showing the shelves. So when you think about it, you just kind of have to talk to yourself. What do you want to be? You want to be an intraday? You want to be a momentum trader? Do you want to be a swing trader? You have to identify what works. And I've been every one of them till I realized that I don't like leaving money on the table overnight. I've learned my lessons throughout trading that anytime I leave it, somehow it always goes against me. Maybe I make 30-40%, but I have to sleep with that at night. And whatever that risk is, I still have to assume that I could lose all of it because you don't know where we're going to open up. So just something to think about. If you're new, I'll do the best I can to actually kind of help you with understanding the market, the structures, especially the volume profile, because I think that's my strength. And then, of course, anything that you might need if you're trading a different strategy and if you have questions about it, I'm pretty sure I've seen it and I've used it before. So don't be shy, ask questions, especially in this Discord. I do think there's quite a few traders that can help you. We have different traders coming up with different strategies, like UK Wildcat came up with a cool strategy. And then we have a crazy developer that said, hey, let's just develop this. And trading, you can give it to all. Wildcat was okay with that. So it's about sharing and helping each other rather than, hey, man, I got this cool little thing. It's profitable, but nobody gets it. Most of us are not that way in this Discord. So maybe if you come from a different one where they hold that treasure, a lot of stuff is shared within the Discord, and nobody's really selfish to kind of share the information. So hopefully you guys can notice that. With that being said, I'm going to cover the basics of volume profile, kind of talk about the auction theory, how that works. We talked about it briefly, a couple of times, but some of you guys might be a little bit misunderstanding maybe how the stock market works, right? So we'll cover that a little bit, talk about the VPOCs, kind of help you find the supply and demand zones. Then we'll talk about the volume profile itself, like the session profile. What does it mean? What is the value area high? What is the value area? And then what is value area low? The high and low, and then imbalances and balances. So you guys can kind of help understand. And then I'll give you two easy setups, which usually work 90% of the time, you have the 80% rule, then you also have the volume accumulation with the break of high and low. And those couple of setups, if you focus only on those and you pick maybe one or two stocks that you trade, you can make a living out of it. If you pick 40, 50 stocks, you're never going to succeed in this game because the market changed so much and the human brain cannot handle that much information and kind of go through it as quickly. So with that being said, I just want to kind of talk about, does everybody understand how the auction theory works? Does anyone have an idea to like say, hey, this is how it works? Anyone want to call?
No, can you explain?
I just want to hear somebody say it first. What is their opinion of it?
I'm sorry, what was your question, Shorty?
What is a market auction theory? How does the market work?
I mean, it's basically an auction, buyers and sellers.
Yep. So give me an example and a simple example.
Well, basically, like, you have, if you have more demand than supply, so price will go up. You have more people buying than people are selling. That causes price to increase because that particular equity is in higher demand, and then the inverse for downside. So it's a constant auction where you have people trying to buy at the best price possible, or competing to buy at a price.
Yeah, that's fair enough, and that's a good example. So the other night, I was trying to explain to my wife while we were driving to Florida what is a market auction theory, and I asked her a question: if there's more buyers, does it mean the price goes up? What do you guys think?
Not really.
Usually.
Not necessarily. It depends who's more aggressive.
Who said that?
It was Mike.
Oh, Mike, that's a really good explanation of it, and I just want to see if somebody would catch it. Not necessarily does it mean anything. For every one of the buys, there has to be a seller. So I gave her an example, like when we were buying a car, right? You guys know that I was pretty frugal in the car. I didn't buy a car for a long time. And then, we wanted the 4Runner, and then we were kind of in a bidding war with the dealership itself. As you guys know, the crazy markets came, and then, the cars went, short supply, high demand, and then the dealerships got the power of overpricing the cars. Even now, you guys see it, they're putting 20, 50K over MSRP, and somebody posted some crazy pictures from this chat on like a Toyota RAV4, I believe, that it was like 80K or 60K, whatever. Either number is crazy enough for me for that type of car. But I was telling my wife, I was like, hey, when we were buying our 4Runner, at what point would you have stepped away from the car? And, we were pricing at $55,000 for the TRD Pro. And she said probably like $2-3 more grand. And I'm like, okay, so we were very close to stepping away from them, but it was just me and us and another buyer. So that means, right, as we're going up in the price, what happens to the number of buyers?
It goes down.
The number of buyers naturally goes down as the price goes up. So as you're going down, it's the inverse, right? The price drops down, you get more buyers. And I give you guys these examples of jeans, shoes, PS5s all the time. That's all what the market is about. Market searches on top to see, who's going to be, you think they're looking for buyers or sellers up top?
They're looking for buyers.
It depends what side you're on, right? If I'm a guy that has a lot of cars on the lot like a dealership, well, I'm looking for buyers. My goal is to sell it to you as high as possible. Your goal as a consumer is to buy it from me as cheap as possible, right? So that's where the bidding wars happen, right? And when you see a stock, just because there's a lot of buyers, for every one of those buyers, there's a seller. For every share that you buy, somebody has to sell it to you. And a lot of misconception is around, oh man, it was a lot of heavy buyers there. Well, there's really no heavy buyers there. I mean, it's just how aggressive were the buyers on the tape. I mean, if you think about it, we talked about PS5, when it first came out. I mean, people were willing to pay some stupid money for it. $800, $900, even $1,100. So those scalpers that got the PS5s, they used bots or whatever they used to buy them. I just go on mute, guys. I'm double hearing myself. So those buyers, let's say they were left off, they bought 15 PS5s, and the market all of a sudden, no interest in it. Well, this guy, what do you think? If he bought it, let's say at $1,000, he bought it at 500 and has 15 of them, and no buyers, at 1,000, no buyers at 900. This guy here is now shaking a little bit. And same thing happens in the stock market. When stock starts going down, what do retail and maybe even hedge funds, what do they start doing? They panic sell, right? They start panic selling, and that it causes initiative selling. As you guys know, the type of buyers and sellers, your initiative sellers step in, and then they basically just put a lot of ask. They just keep basically like, man, here, take all the shares you can get at this level. And then, buy when people are in fear. That always stands true. And, we're not going to go into conspiracies, but they can control the media and kind of the PR around it, so they can control when to gauge the human mind to do the selling, when to do the buying. A lot of times, and even like this last cycle that we had, a couple of good stocks like AMD, somebody who bought it, in 76 or 75 bucks, they made about 25% because they went all the way to 105 or 103, whatever, depends on the purchase. But that's pretty good return. And, 2 months, you make 20 to 30% on the stock. That's great. But it's always understanding it's not necessarily the number of buyers and sellers, it's how aggressive the buyer and seller is at a particular level. How badly do you want it at this level, at this price? That's what drives the price. Do you guys think the limit orders drive the price up or down? If I bring up, let's say I bring this up. If I have a limit order right here, right now, I'm putting a limit order for buying right here at $39.55. Does this move the market at all?
It's the market orders that move them.
It's only the market orders that move the market, right? If the limit orders are up, the limit orders are your supply and demands. That's where a lot of people fill up, and sometimes, when you use L2 tape, you only see a couple of rows up and down. And on this one, you don't see much, but like on TRS, you might see 6, 7 levels down. On TradeStation, same. On level 3 tape, you might see it, right? You might see it a little bit deeper. You might see some orders sitting way back. And some of those are manipulation orders, right? Some of them are ghost orders, meaning they put an order here. Let's say there's a wall here. They put 1,000, order here. And as we approach it, that order goes away. They cancel it. They make you think, they have to manipulate the market and how it moves and the buyers and sellers. So they do that. So the limit orders are not market movers. The market orders actually trigger the movements, right? So if somebody wants to move the price down, let's say the bid right now is on 5, there's a strong imbalance here. You guys see that, right? There's a strong imbalance on the selling side. Not much buying, and you see how it's flipping back and forth. But if you had a little bit more data, you'd be able to tell, is the imbalance on the ask or the bid side, right? If there's a big seller, in order to move the price, what has to happen to the bid here? If I want to move this price now down, what has to happen here? Anyone get an idea?
Just eat the bid.
Yeah, we call it, remember, iceberg order. Your iceberg order, the big order, like let's say this order here was for 10 million shares, and usually they break it down into little chunks. If this order here is sitting, and this guy is just bidding, this order has to sell, kind of consume all the bids in order to drive the price down. And the stronger, if the demand is aggressive and people are buying, they might eat up the little iceberg order right here. Maybe the next iceberg order this person has is a limit order sitting somewhere at 39.60, but there's not enough new fresh buyers to consume that, so they bring it back down to where it was last time. That's how the market kind of reacts and moves the price, right? A lot of people have, when I see it on Twitter, oh man, there's heavy buying here. No, it's just the way, how aggressive was the buying. The buying is the same. If you want to buy an orange, somebody has to sell you the orange. You can't just buy an orange. So hopefully that kind of clarifies it. It really does not make a sense if it's heavy buying. It's the intention. How aggressive was the buying or selling? When you guys see these, levels, like key levels here, I'm on 8 hours, a little bit of odd time frame. But if you look at this level, for instance, here, 4-1, it looked like a head and shoulders forming here, the right shoulder. We broke down. I mean, I would say this is pretty aggressive selling here. looking at the candle, you look at the volume from the previous sell-offs here, almost doubled in volume. So I'm paying attention to the volume, and I can tell, man, that was some initiative selling. They really wanted to dump this below this level, and they took it. And then you can see, if you go down to the demand levels, you go here, right? You're looking at this previous high. They broke that. They came back for a retest. So we know that there are some buyers there, right? We are able to tell they defended that level. So maybe there's some long positions that they got in. They accumulated here. If you're using Wyckoff theory, maybe they accumulated in this zone right here. If they accumulated it here, well, then maybe they'll defend it. And that's what they did, right? They did as we expected. That they're going to defend the level where they went long. If you went in long for millions and the price comes back to it, what would you do? You would say, oh, no, man, I know if I lose this level, that there's a high chance you're going to go to the bottom of the range. And that's what the Wyckoff says, right? If you're in a range level like this one, if you're ranging in between and you're tapping the bottom and you're in a good range and you're hitting the extremes, there's a high chance that you're going to go to the bottom of the range. So in this case, this is the range here. Does anyone know what this called here in the Wyckoff? Did anyone read the book or understand the concept? What is this right here when it breaks below the range?
Liquidity sweep.
A spring?
This is a spring. So this is called a spring, and usually people buy these springs, and this will most likely, when it goes through the spring, do you know what the rule is? What's going to happen when it approaches the top range? Here it looked like a trap. Imagine that it came to the top. It usually comes back. This will act as a weak high and breaks it, and you don't buy here. As you guys know, this is not your buy zone. This is your buy zone. As soon as it comes back for the retest, it came back. This is where you go long. You let this develop, and do you know the name of this one here? Where the green is?
Retest.
Yeah. Is there any names like creeks or anything like that? This would be called a creek. So usually you want to buy the creek or the retest. I'm just giving you guys some terminology from the Wyckoff. We buy the retest of this because now we know the buyers were able to break this level, right, where the previous resistance was sitting on. And then, if you're just looking at the single levels here, if you do this level here, you grab these wicks. This is your range where you kind of want to be getting into it, right? But a good tap on this line and putting the stop loss below is not a bad idea to go along. And now you just kind of go over to the ES level here and look where we're at. We went over, we took off, and now we really came back to the scene again where the last time the buyers came here. Now this is our really true first long retest of this area that's being respected. So that's that 3,900 that we talked about, the 3,907 and 13 range. They're respecting this area really well. I honestly expect us to go to 4150 now. Does anyone know why? I'll show you step by step. 4138 to 4150. Does anyone know why?
ABCD pattern?
I don't know if I see a bullish ABCD. Maybe I'm missing it. Yeah, I don't see an ABC. There was a
Maybe a retest?
Okay, well, I'll get to that. Does everybody understand?
Hello.
Isn't it support's going to become resistance?
Okay, well, let me just give you a quick answer since you guys are interested. What is that here? What do you call this setup here from the PowerPoint that I explained to you? We'll go over it, but what is this level here?
It's a POC.
Okay, when you have an imbalance, right? Market spends 90% of the time in balance or an imbalance. Which one?
Balanced.
Say it again. Both of you guys said.
Balanced.
Yeah, we're always balanced. So right now we created an imbalance here. You guys see that, right? A huge imbalance created a big old candle, breaks it down, and you see how we flew down. What I did here, just quickly, and I'll step out of this. I just want to tell you why that level is so important. I'm looking to see where in this imbalance, in this kind of quick move down. It's a really like a nice, there's power behind this move just because how quickly they're able to drop it here. So I'm looking here, if I grab from the highs to the lows here, and you don't have to grab this candle, you can grab this one, it won't change much. What we're looking for right now, there's two setups to play this. If you want to play this long, right, you don't have to wait to short it, right? We want to play both sides of the market. This is our value area low on the profile. The green side here is our value area high. Does everybody know what that is? Value area high and value area low. Does everybody know what value area is?
Yes.
Okay, if somebody says no, we'll cover it. The whole area here, which is called value area, between value area high and value area low, that are highlighted in green. Usually the volume profile will give you the line and you can change the settings on this. Let's see. Let me go
So,
here.
Shorty, from the people I reached out to, I think a lot of people don't understand value area high and low.
Okay.
Most of the replies I got were very low understanding of volume profile.
Okay, well, let's dig into it. So when you look at a volume profile, I'll just delete this and I'll include my session volume profile. So we'll go on like 15 minutes. We'll focus on this one here. So when you look at, I believe this is Friday's. Yeah. When you look at Friday's volume profile, so we're able to go above the current day value area high. Value area high and value area low are basically your extreme values of the value area. What is value area? Value area is where 68%, in our case of this Discord, we all use 68%, where we trigger, where's the 68% of the volume for that day being traded at? And the value area tells you that. Within the 68% of the area, there's the most volume being traded there. So it's one standard deviation. Within one standard deviation, this is how much volume occurred. And usually, statistically, these levels are really, really well respected when you start trading. The value area high can act as when you make higher value area highs, you're probably in an uptrend. When you're making value areas, lower highs or lower lows, you're probably in a bearish. And it's the same kind of as a stock market. So here, you broke the day before, you had a really, really tight kind of, it is like a lowercase b, short b here. You had a really tight value area, I would say. If you grab it from the top, 39.35 to the bottom, so was this 29 points in the value area? I mean, the range was wider for the day, but the value area was low. Once you're able to break this value area, some people like to go long on the breakouts, or you can wait for the retest. And you can notice here, when you're breaking value areas, what does the market do? What does the market auction theory tell you? When you break out of one value area, what does that mean? Does everybody understand? When you're out of the value area, what does that mean?
Well,
Besides that you broke out of value area, like I understand that, but what does it mean?
There's an imbalance.
Yep.
Okay, there's an imbalance. But why is there an imbalance, Krugi?
Buyers want to move the price up.
In this case, people or buyers, they believe there's more value and they have to do what? Every time you get out of one value area, of course, there's going to be an imbalance. It could be to the upside, could be to a downside, right? In the Wyckoff theory, basically, they tell you that this could be an accumulation for a step higher or a distribution, right, for the leg lower. But when you leave value area, you're most likely going to leave imbalance, and there's going to be a lot of orders that are probably not filled here. This guy that, took the area off and he caused this market kind of pop up like a balloon squeeze higher. Well, maybe there's a lot of buyers here that didn't get filled. So when it comes back, when it goes away and it finds a level like a value area from day before, and you see here, we flew from this area, and I'm just adding the previous day value area. Oh, crap, sorry. That's anchored really well. If you look at this, this is a value area low from August 31st. As soon as you leave this value area, the closest value area that I'm looking within 5-6 days is this one. And where does the price literally go? Like a magnet. Boop. But why does it leave? Why does it move so much here? Does everybody understand that? I'm incorporating what is value area. Does everybody understand why it moves? Once it got out of here, it moved fast.
You don't have any
Low volume.
Not much volume. Not much volume.
How do you know it's low volume? Let me remove this. How do you know it's low volume?
It's out of the very area, 68%.
Exactly. So you're entering the second standard deviation and maybe even the third one here, because as soon as you leave value area, 68% of the volume is in this box. That means if you're able to break upside or downside of this area, the activity outside of it is going to be so low, the price can kind of go a little bit freely to it. And if you know where the previous value area is, the markets, when they leave one value area, remember this, they'll always go to the next one. They will see if they're, just imagine if you're a friend. I'll give you an idea if you're friends. Let's say me and Drew are good friends here in this box. We're having a time of our life. We're going to trips, we're drinking, we're partying, riding bikes. And then one day Drew fucks up and I'm like, fuck it, Drew, I'm leaving you. I'm going to a new friend. In order to find a new friend, I have to find a new place where I'll be accepted in an environment, whatever that is that I'm looking for. So as a new friend, I hop into a different bar and I'm like, okay, well, let me see if there's any cool guys here I can be friends with. And I'm literally trying to get acceptance, but up here. I'm trying to see if they will accept me here. And if you look, I'm on 15 minutes. At first, they're arguing, nope, and the POC is kind of right in there as well from that previous day. And we know the POC is what? I know, Scroogey, you know it. Who else knows what POC stands for?
Point of control.
Point of control. And what does it tell us?
It tells us the range, even the tighter range of where the most volume occurred in that time frame.
It's the point where the most of the volume occurred. This is the level where majority of the volume was accumulated, right? And as you guys know, personally, for me, when I'm looking at, I don't trade single levels, and I don't treat them as if you pass this level. If you pass this zone here, I'll be looking for kind of calls over, right? So does anyone see a setup here between these three that we call in our PPT? So here's your previous date. If you're in this day here, there's your previous day POC. Here's your value area low. Is there any particular setup that you guys see that was forming here?
The retest of the POC.
There's a retest of the POC, but there's also 80% rule that was kind of being played here that it didn't get to finish. So if you look between this one and this one, the value area low is here. So in order for me to become friends with the new guy, I really have to be accepted by his crew here. If I'm accepted, and as you guys know, you want to use, minimally you want to use 15-minute candles, 3 15-minute candles to be accepted inside the value area and no breaks in between. So if you look at it here, for the day 1, 2, we dipped below it, we closed it, but then it's a false breakout. The only reason I would never take this, initially just on the retest of the value area here on these small ones is the POC is right there above it. So the 80% rule tells you if you're able to get into the value area of the previous day, whether it's high or low, depending on where we are, let's say in this case it was a low, there's a 80% rule that you're going to go to the top of this. Okay? So now if you look at it, right, so I just want to make sure, does everybody follow so far? This is pretty straightforward here. This is my value area low. I'm focusing from this day to this day, nothing else. This is my value area high. This is my value area low, right? This is where buyers and sellers are happy to trade in the area. That's called balance for the day. As soon as we get out of the value area, it's called imbalance. It means we're no longer in the balance and we're looking for value higher or lower. So now, if this is my value area low and 80% is setting up, I'll look to have at least 3 15-minute candles close above it inside this value area and then take it long. Only deviation that I have for this rule is if the POC is very close to it, I'd rather wait for that POC to break and play the retest, or you can play the breakout. Depends what kind of trader you are. I like to play retest, and my retest would have worked better than your level, right? So if you're a momentum trader, I would have made more money on this. So if you look at this, right, the retest comes back, and I'll keep it on 15 minutes. You guys can imagine the smaller candles. So here, this is our value POC. This is our, look what happens. We break this level. We created a nice shelf here. Seems like a nice little distribution if you kind of grab it here. And then what did you do? You dumped right back to where? Look at this perfect touch to the POC. So you would have gained from here. Your exit probably should have been right here in this level. So this would have been your first exit. So if you got in at 39.73, you could have taken what, 27 points directly on ES. If there's any future traders, that's a lot of points, right? If you're buying a couple of lots on ES or even one, you can make a lot of money on that. On SPX, I don't even want to talk about it, right? You can make a couple 100% on this. Does everybody understand this concept of buying 80% rule? If the POC was above, I would have bought the retest of this. 80% rule. If the POC was above, I would have bought the retest of this. 80% rule. If the POC was above, I would have bought the retest. Yeah, somebody's on that point. Really good.
Rumi, you have to mute your mic. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Okay. Does everybody understand this? If you don't, I don't mind repeating and drawing it differently.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So the previous day volume area high and low, is that just the previous day or even previous 2-3 days?
So when I look at the market structure, right, I'll look at 5 days usually on my screen. I'll look at 5 days to see how the market moved. And, as you understand the market profiles and the shapes, you'll want to look at it, right? How to spot the reversals, how to see if it's a short covering or not. You will get into that. But when I'm looking on the 80% rule, I only look at the previous day. I want to know if you're getting inside the area of the previous day. Are we on the top of it, value area high, or on the bottom of value area low, so you know where it's going to go. So what the 80% rule says here, let me kind of go here. I'm just going to hide the candles for a moment. If you look at this, right, I'm going to focus, let's focus on the current. So this is we're already opening inside the range here, right? We're opening inside the range and inside the value area. So we're prepping for a pretty violent move here, right? If we are able to break out of this POC and come back for a retest, that would be the value area high. This becomes, even though this is a developing, kind of value area high, if you're able to break above this, and let's say come here for the rejection, you can scalp along here quickly because there will be some buyers that are kind of trying to defend that level, and you can scalp a couple of points. And that's what I did on Tesla on Friday, same setup. I was looking for a buyer and I knew where the buyers were. I hopped in and drove it. So same concept here. But then if we're able, and you guys see we're opening inside the area, so it might be a super tight day. And I don't know who's speaking from the Fed perspective, but you see here, if we're able to break this low area here, value area low, this is the only short level that you can take. Look at the value area lows matching here for 2 days. They're telling you here, hey, every time you come to this area, we're probably going to defend it. Until this level is broken, you break below this level and you come back, this is where you short. You do not, I personally don't short this. I'm not going to say we. There's some traders that trade the momentum. You can definitely do that for quick scalps, but you can take a short here or on the retest of this value area. Once you lose this value area, just think psychologically. Once this area is lost, what do you think happens to these buyers? Remember the market auction theory when you have too much of something and you want to get rid of it because the price is dropping fast? Well, you're probably going to hop in and be like, man, we're crashing. And then panic sets in and you start selling. So you become part of the initiative selling, which triggers the aggressive selling, and then it goes lower, and probably goes 38.50. Does that make sense so far?
I'd like to ask a clarification question, Shorty.
Yeah, sure.
So if it breaks Friday's POC,
To the upside.
we expect a potential of Wednesday's value low as a potential.
As a rejection, yes. You would expect a rejection here, correct?
Okay, and then if it makes it past the POC of Wednesday, then are we talking Tuesday's POC potentially?
I would first put this POC here, the most current one that's right here, 39.70, but I would not ignore this area here. So 39.86, 39.90 would be kind of like, hey, be careful here. We might reject here. Because this was, for the most part, if you look at this was a lowercase d shape, definitely lowercase long d. So that means there was a lot of traps on the long side here. They were trapped and then they dumped it. And now I think this level might be acting as a little bit of resistance as we come up here. And then we could confirm that. I'm not ready to go there yet, but hopefully that answers your question. Yes, I will look for the previous value area low, closest value to this value that we are in now, because this one is a very wide balance. And the value area is high as a 39.90. Well, we never really got out of this area to get back in, so that the 80% rule cannot apply. But if we go over this POC, we reject here, you could potentially expect buyers to show up here at this level. And I'll play long here, and I will scalp short here.
Thank you.
Okay. And this is setting up. Let's look at the candles. Yeah, there it goes. So I think it just maybe happened earlier. I wasn't paying attention. But you see here how we are tight in the value area. I mean, this is a fairly tight value area. And you see the POCs in there from the previous day. So as you guys know, this would be my area for buying. And look right here. They kind of popped over it. They came back to the value area high, and look. They trapped a few more people right here, and then off the POC, they popped. And then simply here, there's unexpected rejection here as well. Your previous support becomes resistance. So now you're watching the price action to make sure that it's agreeing with you. So next step that I usually do after I look at the daily session profiles, I'll go back 30 minutes and I'll kind of mark my VPOCs, right? And if you're not familiar with VPOCs, this might be something you want to take notes or write it down. Make sure you understand it. So we know the daily sessions has POC, like right, this one, the red lines, they're all POCs for that day. It means on that day alone, this is where the heaviest volume occurred. So for August 26th, the heaviest volume occurred around this level. And as I mentioned a few times, I really don't draw just a single level. I'll mark this level here, particularly this one here will be a VPOC. Does anyone know why that's new here? Not, that you've been here. Why is this one called,
Because it hasn't been tested again.
That's correct. So usually your VPOCs that haven't been tested again, they're fairly strong. They usually carry more weight than a regular POC, because it means that no other buyer or seller in this case, right, did not get an opportunity to fill more if they had more to sell. Because we had a quick impulsive move down and an imbalance happened. We are never able to really retest this. So if they really want to push this, we have a VPOC right here that's sitting at 4107. You have another VPOC that occurred on Friday. Okay, come on. That occurred on Friday right here at 4012, call it. We'll draw the lower range. We'll probably grab the value area high. Usually when value area is high, close to it, I'll grab that zone. This becomes another, is this your supply or demand zone? Hopefully you said supply. Yeah, this becomes your supply. Anything over the price, that means overhead, there's sellers here, there's a supply there. Anything that's below the price usually means demand, and there's going to be buyers present at that level. Okay, so here, obviously you don't have much VPOCs here, as we call them, but, there is a nice little POC that was building here for some time, and the price popped off of it. They came back, they gave a fake little pump, and now we consolidated again in this area. So now, we have pretty much a good run here to this VPOC, but in between, you have some levels you want to be aware of. It's not just going to go from 39.50 to 4,000, even though it could, but it's going to have a little bit of rejection and a retest, right? So if we are able to get in this area here, that would be a good sign that we're probably going to run another, I would say, what is this, 39 to 38. So probably another about 25 points, call it 30 points. So most likely you would run all the way to here on the next one. If you break this level, you're going here, and then you have a double value area high here. I would probably scale out at this level. And there's two reasons I would scale out of this level. Does anyone know, besides being about double value area high, what's the other one? Fairly obvious.
Just two POCs.
You're really close to that 4,000.
Exactly. So if you guys know, retailers, a lot of retail traders, they look at these even numbers, right? The whole numbers, and they see them as a holy grail. Once we hit 4,000, we're going to reject. I can assure you that the algorithms they're not developed around whole numbers. They really don't care. A lot of people, how many people said 4.6 to 4.10 was a rejection last week? I mean, I was on the beach, but I was monitoring the chat. A lot of people are, even on Discord, a lot of people on Twitter, they had some weird levels of 410, 4,000 a lot. Everybody was all about 4,000. It really had no meaning. If you go back to 4,000, I mean, every time it came back, does this look like it cares about 4,000, this candle here? Oh, to me, it doesn't look like at all. It cares. It doesn't give a shit about this 4,000 level. So it's really used to manipulate the price and get in as many retailers to go on the opposite side of the trade. So that way, it's a net sum zero game. You lose, somebody else gains for the same amount. So they're trying to take money as much as they can, especially when the retailers are in numbers and they know, at 4,000, once we break, man, we're shorting. Well, what can you expect market makers to do? They can set up traps below 4,000 on both sides. So these numbers become really easy based on, the max pain that they know, and it's calculated for them every second when it's trading, but not for us. So they are already in advantage where to take the price. At close, at open, what's the best way to get you guys to close your puts? If you swung puts and the market dip, they're going to rip it in the morning and then probably might make a new low, but you already sold it because you didn't want to take a loss on the initial contract. So they basically got you out because a good trader will take his profits and not hold it off. Like in this case, let's say here it gapped up, and let's say you're short here for some reason, and look at this trap here that they gave you. I'm just kind of giving you an idea how they do it. So here, does anyone see a trap anywhere on the short side here? Remember, I'm on 30 minutes here, so the trap really happened here. They did a fairly quick one, and they said, hey, come on, we're going to go break this range here. And then, boom, they popped it higher. And then the guy that was like, okay, man, we're going to reject here. Great. I'm back to almost break even. And they said, yeah, you didn't take your break even. Thanks. And he sold. Do you think this guy has confidence now to short? No, he's probably like, oh, man, I'm going to be bullish. I just got burnt. We're going to, what do you think he does right here? So we get a nice low rejection, then a big old candle right off of the value, off the consolidation here. He's like, man, let me buy calls here on this one. He buys the calls. Pew. And you guys probably experienced it too, right? Where, you get in the calls and same minute as you get into the calls, what happens? Poof, price goes down. And your calls literally, lose value just quickly, like 20, 30%. You didn't even get in. That's because most people follow the masses, right? And it's kind of like a herd behavior. And it happens a lot in investments, a lot in trading, and it's kind of like the behavioral finance and science behind it. That usually humans like to be part of something. So if everybody's watching that 4,000 level and the herd is going to jump in, well, think about the other guy. What is he going to do? You jump in the calls and you're not quick to take profits? Well, thank you. So that's why you got to be careful around the 4,000. Yes, it's a level you should be aware of, but do not solely like, man, we broke, like for instance, the 3,900 double value area low. Well, just because if we break that level, that doesn't mean, the 3,900 will be a bounce here. Is there buyers there? Probably there's going to be some retailer buy, but how far can they go is where you're looking, either to break below 3,900 and short it on a retest, or find a level above. If you see that we're still making lower highs, lower lows on the macro structure, you still want to stay in your short and find a good stop loss. That's all it is to it, is to play on their side, not against them. They're buying, you're buying. They're selling, you're selling. And the only way to know is using the kind of like the volume profile to figure that out, where the accumulations happened, where the distributions happened on the top. And then you utilize two setups, volume accumulation setup, and you can use the 80% rule. And then if we are in a range day, for me, those are the easiest days to trade. When you're in a range day, these days become really, really easy to trade. If you're trading on the volume profile and we're staying in the range of a previous day like this one here, well, all you have to do is short the tops and buy the bottoms if you're in a range day in the value area high. If you're using, for instance, Wyckoff theory, right, they would tell you that you're buying on the bottoms and selling on top of the structures. If you're really conservative, what's another approach taking profits on in the range day? Does anyone remember?
50%.
50% of the fib.
Yeah, just use your 50% fib. If you're ranging in the market, let me find a good range. So, for instance, right here, there's a nice little range. So here, if you're shorting the top here, let's say it was somewhere around here. If you're shorting the top here, if you took this, and just find the 50% of this little run here from top to bottom, and get out at your 50% and just play that every day. You break that, you can go long, buy on the top, sell at the 50%. But there's also, I'm not going to go into this, but it's more complex. When you're in a range and you're making higher lows, that's a good sign that you're going to rip through the structure, just FYI, because there's not enough sellers to find the price all the way down. So the buyers are stepping in earlier, afraid of this run up. So if you look here, we only had like what I would say 3 taps, 1, 2, and you see the third tap. What do you notice here that's interesting? Since we're talking on it, I'll teach you something new. There's 2 things you should notice. Who knows what they are in this little area right here?
I see a bullish, I guess, anomaly. The volume's going down, but it's still trending up.
But that's a good observation. Keep going. I think you're on the right path.
Blue fat.
So remember, here you have equal lows. You have an equal low here. You have an equal low here. This one already is making a higher low. You're in a range. If you're making higher low, on the higher low, you would assume that there was more buyers or more aggressive buyers than there was sellers. Would you agree? Because if there was not, then you should have really gone all the way to here. So in the range, the rule is if you're making higher lows in a range and volume is kind of agreeing with you, would you guys say the volume is agreeing right here? Compare it to the previous area. It's telling you here, hey, it looks like we're going to step in here a little bit higher. And here you also notice in this first range that we made a little bit of, compared to the first candle, we made a higher high. To this wick, we did not. But, no problem. You're making higher highs to lower highs. We connect the highs and you have a triangle. So you have like a range and you have a triangle, and here's the breakout. So whenever you're in a range, you can buy these. If you notice that we're making called apple bottom, higher low in a range, here it looks like a triple bottom almost between these two, double bottom, and your purchase becomes here for pattern traders. They would buy here on a retest or on a breakout, depending on who you are. But for me, that I understand maybe a little bit of market structure here, my entry is right here. You made a higher low. I'm looking here. There's volume. Boom. You broke this nicely. I get in here. Look at my reward. What will be your exit here? I just want to make sure that everybody understands. If I'm getting in on this candle here on a break of this high, where should I get out?
At that trend line?
You can get out of the trend line, but your range is probably the first best exit that you should take. If you're a trend line, if you trade trend lines, then you can definitely trim here. And if you look at it, look what happened. They brought it right under it. They trapped. What do you think all these pattern traders like Triangle here, I would call it, maybe a bull flag, huge bull flag here. They saw this and they're like, oh man, rejection here. They're most likely going to go all the way down to the bottom of this contracting triangle. If you're an Elliott trader, right, Elliott wave trader, maybe you would expect another one, A, B, C, D, E, trigger, and then go. Well, here they said, screw your counts. And they said, we're just going to trap you here off of this range. We're going to pretend we're going to go down. I mean, a really bullish candle, nice volume follow through. And we went higher and then a big sell-off. And I mean, this one would have trapped everyone back because it brings back memories, right? You look at these two candles, every time we peaked out of this range, look what happened. There are some sellers here that showed up. Does that make sense? So here, if you see a pattern in a range like this, just remember this. If you're making higher lows in the range, look for this type of candle where it's indecisive, where it's still kind of having the liquidities there. They will come back probably to the body of that candle on the top on the next candle, and they'll take off. So just FYI, this was additional. I wasn't trying to go in too much detail of this, but since I did. When we were talking about session profiles earlier, we covered value area high, we covered the value area low. Is there anyone still confused on what it means and what they are? Okay, well, how are you confused? Okay, well, tell me, what are you confused about? I won't help you if you don't tell me. Oh, I guess I can't help you. Oh, I don't obtain it, right? So it's your highest points usually of the value area, where it calculates where's the 68% of the volume. It figures out where 68% of the volume occurred and grabs the area. And if you use the indicator here, if you're asking for the math, we can go over the math, but it's going to be a long class. Before, this did not exist. You did not have volume profile. You had to kind of calculate some of these things. So I don't know if you're asking me for the math or you're asking me how do I get it on this chart. If it's the math, we can go over it, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
No, I wasn't asking for the math. It was just a matter of I didn't understand where those levels came from. But basically, it's the high and low of each value or session volume profile.
That's correct. So value area is the area from top here, from the blue line to the bottom. That's called value area. Value area high, it just tells you it's the highest point of the value area. Value area low, it just tells you this is the lowest point of this value area for today.
Gotcha.
So anything below it is telling you, hey, this is below our 68% volume. And usually, price will retrace back to that level for a retest and then go on and look for the next value area in the area, like around. So whether it was this one here or here, and you see, from here to here, it literally went to the bottom of this value area and it bounced. So once it lost the current one, it went to the previous low area because they had nowhere else to go. They had to test a new area to make sure, hey, are you guys still there? Are you going to buy it? And they said, sure, man, we'll buy it here. And now you're back in this area. So the value area low here, this is setting up to be a really good long level right now. If we come back and we are able to hold 39.40, I'll be long on futures overnight. Why is that? Does anyone know why?
Because you're still within the value area of the previous session.
That means the 80% rule would trigger here.
Yeah.
So there's 80% chance for me to get from here to here. Would I hold it all the way to here? Hell no. Would I get out some right here? Oh yeah, I would get out at the POC because I know there's a big guy sitting there, waiting for the retailers to get excited over what level do you think they're watching again? Let me remind you.
4,000.
They're all watching here, man. As soon as we break 4,000, we're going to 4,100. Okay. Well, you're going to hit this VPOC. If we hit it tomorrow, just remember, you're going to get a rejection. You enter short. So here, if we come back, Shorty's back in, and I'm going long. Is there any levels that I should consider as exit points if I want to make sure I get the most of my profits as they go up? I want somebody to think now to the next level that I'm teaching you. How do I know where to take profits using volume profile? Like I get in here on 80% rule, but I want to know where to get out so I can at least secure some profits.
50% of that value area?
The one known.
You can use 50% of the value area. I'm not a big fan of value areas when they're not D-shaped.
Got it.
Where you've had previous supply.
So if you guys think about this, this is what shape is the previous day.
Is it a D shape?
There's multiple, overall it looks like P-shape. A lot of the volume occurred at the top, hence the supply. But there's multiple distributions here. You have one here, 2, 3, almost look like a quadruple distribution that occurred. And here you simply play between them. So if I want to take profits, for me, the first profit is here, 39.67. And somehow in my mind, I remember the 39.66 level being a big deal on ES going up, way back, and going down. It was being supported multiple times. If I was to kind of drag this around 39.66, this level, I remember it here acting as support. I remember it being a pain in the butt on the bounces. Once it broke, it flushed. So, kind of the memory, trading the same thing over and over. I can tell you these levels, I'm trying to be cocky, but I remember these levels fairly quickly when it comes to a single stock or something I trade daily. That's why I usually suggest don't pick 40 stocks, pick 2, 3 max. Always watch ES. So in this case, you have a start of that, belly here. If you're really aggressive and you want to take your profits, sure, you can get in here. I'm pretty certain we're going to go tap this 39.60 level here and maybe bounce here, tap again, and then drop it all the way. And then if we reclaim this level here, if we hold it, high chance that we rebound and go towards the 4,000. So you take your profits on the next shelves, right? If you're less, let's say you're not paying attention to the, let's say the structures right here, the consolidation, you're like, nah, I don't believe that. So there's a little peak where it starts right here, and it's a 39.67. And then if you wanted to go long, you look for the entrance of skinny belly, or, let's say you're long already. Then as soon as you break 39.74, then you're probably going to get to the next level. Then you find the next shelf that's building there that has a little peak. So you have about 10 points here. You trim some there, and then you have another shelf starting here. But why am I not putting these shelves behind here? Why put it here when I'm taking profits long? Why not put it behind?
Because you want to be conservative and take the first potential hit where they're starting to sell.
Good job. That's exactly why. If I'm short, where would I put this? So I'm flipping this to make sure. If I entered short on this break right here, right, on 39.87, if I entered short here, where should I put my stop loss?
Top of the cluster.
Yeah, we want to be, so think about this as a cat and a mouse game. There's a lot of cats here, right? I want to be if there's a lot of cats here and I'm a little mouse, I want to hide behind all of these walls, so they really have to go through all of these guys and then hit me. If they hit me, guys, stop trading like a gambler. If it hits your level and you made a plan for it, you just close the trade. It did not work out and you move on to the next one. The best thing in trading is being the quarterback of this game. Do you think Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, when they made an interception, they cried about it for 15 minutes? Just ask Tom Brady against Falcons, the 28-3. You have to have a short-term memory. There's no way you're going to succeed in this game if you have an ego, you create sentiment attachment to a level in a stock. Like I see people, they call themselves Tesla lover of something. Only trades long on Tesla. Okay, buddy. Like I hate to tell you, but there's something coming for you. You do not create any emotional attachments to a trade. You do not create emotional attachments to a stock. You're here, as Kevin O'Leary says, to make money, to buy the time. The only thing that you can buy that matters is time. Whether it's people doing work for you or you're buying something or traveling, find something you enjoy in life and do that. Buy yourself time. Everything else is irrelevant. And that's why you got to respect these. What is the purpose of your trading? Are you doing it to gamble? Then okay, then don't fucking respect any stop losses. Or better yet, why don't you just go to casino and just put it all in black? There's a 50% chance that you're going to get it, right? I mean, at some point, you'll nail it. So if you're trading, look at the volume profiles, use the shelves. If I want to take profits here, I want to be risk conservative. Yeah, I'll take some profits right here. I'll take some profits here. Oh, Shorty's a little, less risk averse. Well, I'm going to let this shelf here be my next exit, give myself a little bit more range. If you're, it gives you heart pumps and you freak out a little bit, then add another next shelf below it and take profits. So if you're able to hold this, I'll probably go long on this at 39.38. and I'll go long here. And where's my exit if I go? Where's my stop loss here? If I'm entering here, I'll probably enter at 39.36. That's going to be my 5 lot, and I'll probably enter another 5 lot at 39, 38, 39. Where should my stop loss be here?
Just below the POC.
Okay, so there's, if you just go right below the POC, you can definitely do that. But treat it the same way. If you look at the POC here, right, if you're looking at this, I see where the shelves are. For me, this shelf here would be pretty good here. So I'm giving up about 5 points risk, right? If I'm entering 39.36, about 5 points will be my risk if my stop loss is, let's say, right here. 39.31.75. So if I'm entering long, just have a plan for it. Here's my plan right here. I'm going to enter some right here. My risk is going to be right here. This is my stop loss. And the previous, so if I'm entering a shelf right here, this is a 2-to-1 trade. A lot of you guys know that, I'm not talking about any of those slips right now. I'm just covering the class. So if you look here, we're a 2-to-1 trade right now. So that's a good trade if you're using kind of like the bracket orders and ES, which are, if you're trading futures, you really want to have them. You want to make sure that you have your profit stop loss immediately. And even in trading options, have your stop losses identified before you have profits identified. First, you got to protect the capital in order to make money. A lot of you guys are worried about profits when you don't even have the profits. The only thing you have as an asset in your pocket is the cash that you just put at risk. If you're not protecting that soon, you won't even have that cash in your pocket. Then you're going to be a liability to yourself. So make sure for every trade that you enter, think about risk first. You're a risk manager. Identify the risk, identify your entry, and then your targets. If my first target is going to be right here at 39.60, yeah, sure, I can put that right here. That'll be a 3.5 trade. For me personally, I would probably get out somewhere around right here. I would look for this shelf, and I don't know how close was I. So somewhere around here would be my first exit. So I'll be looking in this trade close 2-to-1, and that's not a bad trade. And if I want to, make it 2-to-1, I can identify this risk right here to be 39.32. That's my stop loss, and this is my plan right now. If it doesn't happen to go here, what do you think I should do?
If it doesn't get to your entry, you do nothing.
Yeah, I don't do nothing, guys. You just find a new entry. You have to find a new setup. And now that we found, let's say, a setup for a long position, potentially on the futures overnight or tomorrow, right? So there's a potential for 39.41 bounce, and I'm aware of that because there's a value area low from the previous day. So when I look at this, later on in the night, my first entry is 39.41. I'll add if it dips below that because there's a high chance we're going to hold this level right now. So my first entry is here. Well, I could probably change this play to be like this. It's same concept. You guys see what I did? I'm respecting the previous day low of the previous day, and I'm going to go on a retest of that level. Is there a high chance that we might go and test the value area high here? Yeah, there's a high chance. So I'll put my stop loss slightly right here below it. Is there a high chance that we'll go back to the POC? Well, I don't know. We're making higher lows the whole time right now, so I would expect that they want to make a higher low. So if I connect these, I would expect that they want to make a higher low and kind of bounce it somewhere in this area and go along from here. And that would be the play that I'm looking for. Identified stop loss. I have my first target. If I buy a 10 lot, I would probably trim 8 right here and keep the 2 and see if we go to the next level. And put a trailing stop right close behind it. So that way it doesn't go red against me. But I already took the profit, majority of it. Okay. So then for tomorrow, what I want to add is this. If I want to identify where majority of the sellers are, how would I do that? If I want to know where the sellers are heaviest, what's the best way for me to do this?
You can do a fixed volume profile of the high to low of the.
Yeah, we want to grab this aggressive move high to low. You could even grab this one. You could grab this one. The POC probably won't change much.
The POC is around 39.71, I think.
39.71.
Well, I grabbed the smaller one.
Oh, you got this one.
The
This right here, this aggressive sell here. Is this what you're talking about?
I think he's saying from like 4,200-ish right up there.
Like this?
Yeah.
Here or this level?
Yeah, the 42 one. Sorry.
So if you grab this, you could definitely grab this as well. So it comes back to 4,004. So if this happens, I already, in my head, I already see what they could do here. If they get inside the value area here, what do you think they would do next? They'll probably push it up to this value area high, which kind of matches that level here, probably reject it, consolidate before it makes the next move. Whether we go up, if we are able to break this area right here, I would say, what is this? 4,002. I am pretty sure that they will get past this previous resistance level here at 416 or whatever that level was. You know, they get over this, there's a strong chance that we're going to go to this level here, and then 80% chance you're going to go here. So what is the chance? If the 80% chance is that you're going to go from here to here, what is my chance that you're going to go from here to here? Is it more than 80 or less than 80?
More than 80.
Yeah, it's more than 80. So that's why I would take most of my money at the POC, and I would let, if there's any free runners, go above it or retest, and I know you're going for the 80% rule, and I would just go long here. Long on the retest, short initially, and then we have the long entry off of the retest here. So I already have a plan on how I want this to work out, right? So we know the levels just based on the volume profiles and where the heaviest selling was. And that's pretty much how we took the last trade on Friday, where we shorted 4,016. So here, you know, majority of the buyers were, if I look at this area here, I'm trying to see where the buyers were on the last bounce. So if you look here, let's see, let me remove all of this so you guys are not confused. So if I want to see where a majority of the buyers were from this low here to this high, it's going to tell me that most of the buyers are right here. Let's go here. 39.45 level. So we're approaching that level now, and you know, don't treat it as a single level. You know, I would probably put something like this around it, like this, and now just watch how we react to this level, right? This is live. Yes, Rumi, under indicators, if you go here, click this little button, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from the top. The bottom one is fixed volume profile. What I do is I favor it, and then it comes up on this little bar here, and it comes up here. What else would you guys expect here? Remember now, we talked about the volume profile agreeing that this is a buy zone. What else is in the area that would tell us a bounce is here, probably high probability?
Previous session, value area low.
Well, structurally, well, I don't know the fibs here. I didn't use any yet. Structurally, I know that this was a previous high. So usually the price works in the waves, right? It'll find the previous level. So for instance, here, I'm just giving you an example. Here was our previous high. This is our break of structure. Then they dip it a little bit below. They have a lower retracement here. They dip it again below. So they create a lower range, right? They create a balance. You always look for these key levels where price was accumulating for a long time and then it breaks up. And, you know, if you look at this level right here, it's, you know, look how many failed auctions do you have? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7 failed auctions coming to this point. Usually when you have a failed auction, what's the rule on it? What does it mean? You're going to come back to it or not?
Yeah, and you'll break through it.
Usually failed auctions lead for really quick turnarounds on the retest. And see here, we came to this level, we retested a few times, and we broke. And then you made a higher high with this level. Now, either this level is going to hold, or truly they're going to come back all the way to this level and bounce it from there. Remember, our level for entry from the previous low area is 39.41. And now you're kind of watching this. And just watch the tape if you have any level 2. Just watch it, see if there's imbalance starting here. There's some buyers showing up. Do you guys see that? Comparing the two live. Now you're watching, see what really happens. I mean, I don't know if I'm connected on TradeStation here. But you're watching to see, you know, how are the bids showing up to the imbalances on the right side of the selling here. And if you see a huge order coming on the buy side, that implies that there's going to be some heavy buying or aggressive buying there. And here, another rule applies, right? So we consolidated off of this area here. If you guys look, I would say right here, we consolidated in this area. We broke above it. It's called a test in a cooling book. And then remember, what did we do here that we just talked about previously? This is your range. This is called, somebody said it earlier here from Wyckoff. I'm not going to kind of cover it again. But what did you do here now? Look at this.
Made a higher low.
In the range, you made a higher low. I want you to remember this setup because it's going to help you a lot in the trading. Whenever you're in a range, in a really good range, and you're making higher lows, and you notice something right below, what happened here? Do you guys see the volume? How does this volume compare to the previous volumes on this 33-minute bar? It's the second highest bar from 10:30 here. And at that 10:30, just notice, what were we breaking at 10:30? Were we breaking the previous high? Oh, so last time when you were breaking previous high, you had a lot of volume here. Now you're coming back to retest that previous high, and what do you have? So doesn't it tell you that there was aggressive buying here and that the aggressive buyers coming back? Is that the story?
That's what they're telling.
That's exactly what they're telling us. And we're just combining price and volume. No other indicators on the chart, right? I do suggest, that you use, you can use our Orbit VWAP. I just made my own single one with standard deviation 0.13 on both sides, but you can definitely use this, right? If you're in a range day, do you guys think the VWAP works on trend days or imbalance days better?
Definitely imbalance.
Imbalance.
Be careful. Balance or imbalance?
Balance.
Yeah, it works better in balance days, guys. If you're trading a balance range, as soon as you break, let's say, this was the range, I don't know, for this day, this was the range that I was in, for instance. Let's say this was the lows here. As soon as you're in a range and you break this, you buy the retest of the VWAP. 9 out of 10 times you'll go top of the range. And same, I'm not trying to make it easy looking post, but that's the rules of it. Usually if you break the VWAP, you're going to go to the top of the range. That acts similarly as your 50% fib retracement. Oh, now you have fib retracement, VWAP, and knowing where the ranges are. So the balance should be really easy to trade because that's what we see most of the time. We don't see trades very often. When we do, human mind is questioning, oh, is this real? Should I trust this? Should I not? Like this one here. We were trending up, nice little recovery off of this higher low. And then, human mind's like, okay, man, I don't know if I should buy here. Like, I don't trust this. I'm going to go short it right below this. Well, I go long here. Right now, this is a perfect long opportunity right now. If you can get an order in, I would buy here, and I would still stick to my rules, buy right below, and see how far it goes.
That's hilarious. I just bought there. Like, I literally just clicked buy right before you said that.
And now you just watch, and you see the trade. So if this is our area now, where's our first profit? Anyone? All right, you got into the trade. Where do you take your profits?
Previous day support.
Well, the best way that you can figure it out, you can use this consolidation that we had here, right? And it'll probably go to the previous high here. But to be kind of more sure that you know where the picture is, you can draw up, this little sell-off that we had, and you can tell majority of the volume happened at the top. Somebody knew something here, whatever that was that triggered it. You have a start of a shelf here at 39.60, and then right here you have the previous high low, which they identified that there are sellers there. So if you're going to bounce here, I don't know if it's still trying to bounce. There it is. So your first level of exit, you can look on the previous, well, I don't trade 1 minute, but you can look at the previous highs and treat that as your exits. And here, you have, I would say this higher low. I would watch this level here because I'm noticing you came back for a bounce, then you couldn't agree if you want to take it longer or higher, and then you went below, and then it kind of dumps from that price. So I would look to kind of get out in 39.53, and then this would be my second exit if I was scalping this here. And so far, this trade would have worked in your favor. Let's see what they do here. Okay, does that make sense so far to everyone? Hopefully, Rumi, it's clearing up things for you. I know you're freshly joined and you're learning, but hopefully it's coming along. And I'd rather you ask questions than be confused into the day. Okay. And if you're new, I strongly suggest that you read that PowerPoint before any classes. Just kind of reiterate the knowledge that you pick up from it, and then highly suggest I highly suggest that you read the Dale, the volume profile. You want to learn that. You want to apply it. There's a lot of good levels. He's a really good trader on volume profile. And then I mentioned if you're kind of struggling with the mental side of the game, the Trading in the Zone is a really, really good book. Don't feel offended. The first 4 chapters are going to hit you right in the heart. You're going to feel like he's talking only about you. But no, a lot of traders go through this cycle. I went through it. Everybody goes through it. So you become immune to the emotions and you become a robot. Like we're just talking about trading, you will not succeed. You have to treat it as a business. And it has to be fun, and you have to know the game and the rules of exit, the rules of entry. Yeah, Rumi, I mean, you're going to find yourself in any of those chapters when they're talking about the mental, when they're talking about, the confidence and believing the trade will work. A lot of people go through the same stuff. So watch this level now, 39.45 here.
Hey, Shorty.
Yep.
The POC and value areas change significantly when the row sizes change. Why is that?
It's just how much volume you're grabbing for that candle, for that one bar. How much are you expecting it to be? Whether it's, I don't know the row size that you're picking, but usually I keep mine on 100.
Okay, yeah, because I had mine on 150, and I was trying to figure out why my value areas and POCs were so different, and I had it on 150. I didn't know why it creates such a different levels,
Yeah, it's definitely the row size you want to pick on 100. That's usually based on my back testing and all that. It's the most accurate level that we have.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's kind of go into that. What's the plan, for tomorrow for trading ES, even though we pretty well covered it so far. Here you see that we're kind of consolidating on the bottom just from the price action, right? So you see we had like a little break here on the bottom. Where is this? Right here. So we see that, structurally here, you're in a structure. You have a little zone here where you bounce from, I don't want to say what is it called. And then, most likely you're coming back for the zone retest or that level that we just talked about to see, if the buyers are going to be there. So now you're watching 39, 45, 43, and we set 41 based on volume profile. So if you're going here, I'm just going to find those levels for me for tomorrow. So let's see, 39.40. This is the run up value area high. So we can expect a bounce there. And then if I want to know where the rejection is coming, we already did this one earlier as well. I want to know where, I think I grabbed one too many. Yeah. Where's the next level for the rejection? So this looks like a really poor structure. It just does not have a lot of data, and the move was really, really quick. This was just nasty selling here. And then if you grab this a little bit, to the beginning of the sell-off, you could go, what is this? This is, maybe I will grab it all the way to here. And if you grab it all the way to here, then you can kind of identify the value area low. If you're able to get in this area, that's probably good off the sell-off. So I would just mark this level here as sell-off value area low. So I know that this is the selling side that I'm looking at, right? So there's potentially a lot of sellers here on the bottom of this value area low. And we came very close to it, and we rejected it right there. And now we're coming back. And let's see if we bounce, where we're expecting a bounce here soon.
We actually, the rejection that happened on 30-minute was right off July value area high.
Yep. And I was just looking cumulatively, so for me, it's a little bit different. But yeah, that's good. Let's see. And then I'll probably wait for this area to clear here, which is, I think it was 420, to even consider going long here. And if you see here, it's just heavy long. So for me, if you're going to be scalping, this is the level where a lot of retail is going to be in. They're going to jump in here and kind of get rejected here. The area opens up right here somewhere. 40.64, you have a nice little reward. If you're able to break 40.64, it gives you the best kind of risk reward is to go long here and go long to that POC of 41.39, I would say 50 range right here. So my idea is, yeah, you can scalp here. It's just going to be a lot of choppiness. Or wait for us to break this level and then go long. That's one scenario. And then you have another one here. If you're able to regain that sell-off value area low. Why did it move so much? Maybe because I'm on 2 hours. Yeah, that's good. I usually, yeah. So if you're able to break that level of this one and kind of come back for the retest, I would go long here as well, unless you're buying the long of this quick zone of buyers here. For tomorrow, you're looking at 39.60 to clear, come back for the retest, hold the value area low of this sell-off, and then you can expect us to go hit the next level. So you have 50 points. I would prefer that you don't trade this zone here because this is going to be fairly choppy. So this is a no trade zone for me. I would ignore this area, and then I would look for a long retest here. So it would be something like this. It would be like break here. I would get in here, and it would be like this. So our entry would be here. We missed that, if we dip somewhere below this box again, that's a pretty good entry as well for taking a long. And then if you're able to break below 406, I would probably short it again. If we go to this level, I would short it on the retest there as well. So if it comes back here and it goes down, it just depends where we open. And then scenario that we would be in now is in this area and look to get out here. And then tomorrow, if you're really wanting to short this, you really should wait. If you're scalping, go on a retest here below this level. It just depends where we open, right? I mean, you have the value area low from here. Then another session volume. Let's see, where's the... Yeah, you have the low value area here. So if you lose this area here, 39.25, naturally, your stock is going to go to the bottom of this. It's going to go to the bottom of this range here. So you have about 18 points if you're willing to play that. You could play that on momentum or play it on the retest. Just because there's a lot of price action there, I would expect that you get a little stop, retest, and short there instead of shorting. Because if you're able to break it and you're not agreeing on a higher price, then maybe you're agreeing on the lower price and this value area loses. Okay? So that'll be the plan on ES for tomorrow. Is anyone confused? Any questions on the ES? And for me, I only look at ES and Q. I don't look at much besides AD and VIX. I don't use any other. I don't look at much other stocks, right? Apple and all of those are great. And if you want to look at Apple, then I don't suggest you look at Apple only. You can do Apple, Microsoft, Google. I would say Amazon plus Tesla. What am I missing here? I would say these are your top 5 that you want to have right here. And if you look at this, this is going to give you some great information here. And if you look here, we made a higher high on the value area high on these, right? And then we came back and we retested the bottom of this value area low of the previous session and we bounced. Tomorrow, I mean, if you want to look at other stocks, once this 921 is broken on this stock, this could really trigger to go to the top of this range here, which is 929. And this is a lot of points. It's just that it's kind of weighted. And then, you know, I would look for a rejection around 940 here. Let them retest this value area here. It has multiple points, and then it has like a little zone of POCs. So if you're looking at something, other stocks, you know, Microsoft and I believe Amazon are heavier weighted than Apple alone. So if you're going to use the base of the stocks, then put a cumulative chart of them and look at them all together and add them up and use this. So if this breaks tomorrow, I'll know, you know, there's potential bullish run.
Order filled.
And this keeps you a little bit in shape. You know, are you going to be biased? Are you going to be biased or bearish? So if you break this value area low here, there's a high chance that we might go and find the next area, right? So the low of the range was here, but this level might not hold much in case they start selling. So this, you know, kind of tells you here, this is going to be
order rejected.
I would say right here, you're entering bearish. And here, you know, it's a
order rejected.
Sell off. Yes, yeah, I'm struggling with spelling. So here, now you have kind of like a plan. Hey, if this happens, then I can go to ES and be like, okay, well, ES is breaking and ES is retesting this level that we talked about. Let's, you know, maybe it's time to look at the, you know, play the bounce and sell off in the areas, but be aware of the level that, you know, we want to sell it off at the 41.39 mark. The final stage of entering puts would be there. And that translates to somewhere about 413, 415.
Order
filled.
filled.
Doesn't go dollar for dollar. Okay. So that would be the plan. And there goes a nice little bounce right off that area. So far, 2 points. I'm not in a trade here, but I would expect us here to kind of go through this right now and keep going to that high. Okay. So did the class help you identify the value area high, low, the value area itself, and how that kind of works? I guess I'm not getting much response.
Yeah, thanks, Shorty.
Okay, so a couple of, you know, tips when you're looking at value areas. I'll just want to say this so you guys understand that it's also on the PowerPoint, but let me not delete that because that was actually my plan. Let me go on AMD. AMD is almost at my buy signal here. Let's see, snow. I hate snow. So if you look at snow, for instance, here, I'm just going to turn on like a daily session. I'm not going to answer the question. I'm going to ask you the question. I want you guys to think about it and answer it. If the stock opens above the value area and then it falls back inside the value area, would you consider this bullish, bearish, or neutral?
Bearish.
That's a very strong bearish signal, guys. If the price opens above the value area, meaning previous day value area, if it opens above it, right? So here on snow, what is happening here? Well, actually, it's a good example. This is our previous day value area high, correct? Did we open above it? Let me go into the email.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we opened above it, and then you got back inside the value area and you bounced from the shelf that you had, you bounced right there, and then you got back inside. And you have not been able to regain that value area high. What would you expect for this stock to happen right now?
Go back to the previous day's POC or value area low.
Exactly, yeah. So now, you know, once you break the low here, or this value area low of the current day, there's a high chance, probably a 90% chance that you're going to go to 168. and I would say, 80% chance you're going to the value area low. So why not short here? You have a setup. If this works out, you take this straight, and here's your plan, for instance, for this. So your trade would be 175 to 1. You can manage the risk here better to get a little bit better risk reward. And your final target would be here, which is almost 3 to 1 trade. And 3 to 1 trades are something you should aim for. So if it opens above the value area and then it comes back inside, and that can be bullish or bearish, right, if you flip it. So if it falls back inside the value area, and it means it's bearish, and then vice versa for bullish.
Shorty, can you point out, are you talking about the previous day's value area or that particular day's?
No, previous days. Always compare to previous day. This is not gonna be developed yet. I wouldn't know where, in the beginning of the day, I would not know where it's at. And some of these, they shift as the price moves. As they find new value area and they use discovery, the bid and ask, they move the value area. They find new ones and then they don't like them and reject it. Just like I didn't reject, Drew as a friend in that area. I found new ones somewhere else.
So when you say it fell back into the volume area, but then you see it flying back up, what do you make of that?
So that's usually so if trading was perfect, everybody would be rich. And once you fall back inside the value area here, but how much time did you spend there, right? So the rule is that I mentioned to you guys is that you want to have 3 15-minute candles close inside that area. Well, here I would say, you had only, I would say, 2 candles on 15 minutes close inside that value area, right? So you close here, and then you got to bounce, and then you kind of went higher to the high of that previous day. You reject it again, right? And then you develop this POC, but then you fall back inside. So they're telling you, we're not finding any value higher here. You're bringing it back here now. So now you have a really nice confirmation for short that they're giving you. So yes, they set up a trap here and they took it long, right? They burnt a lot of puts here because by the rule, professional traders that trade 30%, 80% rule, they use 30-minute candles. A lot of people in not this Discord, on any Discord and Twitter, they would not have the patience to use 30-minute candles to close inside in order to take that trade. So here, if you look at it, right, we're inside this on 30 minutes here. We're inside this value area here, 1, 2, 3 candles. So there's a high chance once you lose this one that you're going back all the way down to 168.25, and this is a probably 100% trade that I would trust to take here. Short here, go all the way to the bottom of this value area and get out. But trading is not going to be perfect. Not every setup is going to work 100% time. That's why the stop loss is so important. If you're right, if you're wrong 5 times in your trade and you're managing your risk well, the one time that you nail a 3 to 1 trade, you're going to be very close to break even if you lost that many trades at a given risk. So if you can manage your risk, you can grow your account. If you can't manage your risk, you will not grow your account. You will always lose. Okay, if the stock price opens below the value area and then it rallies back inside the value area, that would be the strong bullish. Same concept. What we talked about, the bear setup, fall back inside. Same thing is for bullish, right? So here we went above it. Now we're setting up. Which way do we go? So if you're able to break previous value area high at 174.39, better to wait for this area to clear up as well. 174, call it 6. Once that clears up, we can go long on this and drive it all the way to 178. And there's a high chance that we'll rip all the way to 180.13, just because there's a value area low of this session here, which was August 31st. So if we're going to go long, we're waiting for this level to go long, and you have 8 points. Which ratio do you like better here? Going long here or shorting here to here? Who likes which better here? Anyone? Come on, wake up.
Probably going long.
Trade has better risk reward, I think.
Yeah, better risk reward go long.
Exactly. So we would go long. Where would we go long? We go on long on the retest of this level up, which was value area high for us. So this will be the previous day, and we would figure out, based on this buying here, I would be able to know where do I put my stop loss. Well, on this whole buying area here, right? This whole little action that they had impulsive move up, the value area high is right here, right? So I would look, let me make sure that that's the one here. Make it purple or something. Okay. Could have just said this, I guess. So the value area high is right here on this buying. I don't have to wait for this value area high right here to go, if I wanted to go long, but I could put that right stop loss right below this little shelf here. There's a shelf. I'll just stick around and hide it, and let's see where the Wyckoff is and agree with that price level or not. But this would be my level that I go along on the retest, and this would be my first exit here. So this trade will be 276. This trade would be 194. So both trades will work with high probability, but this one carries a little bit more reward. So I'll be more excited if they push it up. Then, I don't care personally, but I know I can make more money here. So that's kind of how you look at that previous value area low. You kind of look at the texture. What are they telling you? You're rejecting a couple of levels here on the value areas, right? You're rejecting these levels, you're falling back inside, you're holding the value area low. Once you lose this, high chance you're going to revisit this. But, your value area high made a higher high than the previous one. So if you're able to take this one out, naturally you go back to the closest area, and that will be 180. So that, to me, carries a little bit more reward than shorting here. So does that make sense? I kind of covered both scenarios here.
Are you always looking to go to that next value area, high or low, depending on which way it's going?
It's always going to work that way. Even if you want to, combine a few POCs, when you grab a fixed volume profile, all you're doing is you're saying, add this one, plus this one, plus this one, plus this one, and spit out all of it in one level, right? So if you look here, I would, definitely be looking to close my long here, because this is the cumulative value area low. So this level here is going to be really, really hard to get through. And if they're able to get through this one right here, 182.4, that's where they're going to flip the power a little bit, right? That means the buyers are getting exhausted. The sellers are getting exhausted. The buyers are gaining control. If they're able to gain control of the previous sell-off level where the heaviest volume is, what is that telling you? Think about it. I am a seller, and my heaviest power, my heaviest punch came at this level. And I'm a boxer, and I'm able to take out that punch and hold it. That means you're going to be more on the bullish side once you reclaim the sell-off level. There's a really high chance. Once you reclaim this level, you're probably going to be testing to see if these sellers were serious on this volume here, 197.48. So retest long here, all the way to 197.48. You come back here, if we take the long that we just talked about, 174.60, we said. 63. So if you're able to break this, you have 6 points here to go long. If you're able to go here then, right? So this becomes, what would you call this zone here, everyone?
Order filled.
Would you
Order
trade
filled.
inside the zone? Anyone?
No.
No, because there's a lot of congestion.
There's a lot of congestion. There's a lot of activity. I don't want to be in activity. I want to be in the imbalance. I want to play when nobody's playing. When there's no volume, I want to be riding this. So once you're able to reclaim this, and you come back here, well, now you're talking, and now you have opportunity to go all the way to this level. I wrote to you guys earlier in a message, whenever there's a skinny belly, right below the skinny belly, be aware of that level to the upside and the downside. Always mark that level. Does everybody understand this? Always mark the first big shelf before the skinny belly, up and down. You will naturally always get a reaction there. So watch this now. Let's see how this works out. So tomorrow we said short below this level. If you want to scalp it to 168, couple of points. If we want to go bullish, break 174.63, come back for a retest, we'll go long and we get 6 points. You get out of the trade, you get a bunch of retailers stuck because they want to go over 180. They think they're going to go to 185. They most likely come back to this value area high here. Multiple structural rejections come back here. They would reject it, then they would go short, and we would go long. So do you notice that there's a trend that usually we go against the retail? So the goal is to be against the retail along with the market and big boys. That's exactly what you want to be. Okay. Does this make sense? This is a simple plan that I just built of a couple of volume profiles a week or less. 10 days. How would you guys, let me just see if you guys are open to it. How would you guys like to have a quiz on volume profile to kind of tell me how, or tell you guys how much you know?
I'd be game.
Yep, let's do it.
Okay.
Definitely.
Do you guys want to make it, you want me to make the more you know, the less you pay. We can set up a model of a stock market for everyone in the group. You guys interested?
Yes.
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 Okay. Well, let me figure out the math behind it and see if Sequence can code it. But you could literally code it based on the knowledge and the results and see how much you pay based on what you know. The more you know, the less you pay. So it would be in your interest to do what?
Study.
No more.
Exactly what I want you to do. I want you to study to learn, not just study to tell your friends that, hey man, I bought a Lambo. Guys, study to buy time in this life because you're gonna get everything else back. You will not get the time back. You're working for time. And as fast as this is flying by, at least for me, this life, time is getting a little bit more expensive because there's less of it. Okay, so that's the ES levels. If you guys, what other stuff you guys want me to chart for you? SPY, whatever you guys want. For me, ES, I don't care about anything else to be honest. But if you want to learn volume profile, you want to read the Dale book. Somebody can link it for you from the books. There's a Dale book. Do you want to read that first? Then you want to read the Anna Cooling. I'm also working with Anna Cooling. I sent her a message to see if she's interested in giving you guys a live class in the Discord on the volume profile. And then there's another guy, Mario, supposedly he's really good in volume profile. We just exchanged a couple of messages. His English is not the worst, not the best, but he could come in with a translator to help us see how he sees volume and price. And he has a really good book about it that I guess he just sent me a link to it. So I'll be buying his book to see, you know, how credible are his teachings on volume profile and price action. But I'm pretty credible on Anna Cooling. If we can get her to show up on the Discord and give you guys a class on volume, I think that would be pretty epic.
That would be beyond epic.
Yeah, I'll be super excited, honestly. I'll be too excited just because she's really, really good. Okay, what other tickers? Let's hit at least, you know, a couple of tickers to go.
Can you check AMD if you haven't done that already?
AMD?
Yeah, if you could, please.
Yeah.
Have you played chips at all?
Have I played what?
Have you played chips at all?
Oh, yeah. Here's my levels on AMD. So these levels still stand true. So when we are looking to short this was the supply that initially we wanted. It hit that. Our bounce expectation was here, and it hit that as well. We want to short it here. We said wait for the retest here. Wait for 90, I'm sorry, to short it, and that pops. And then the demand zone here, you would have caught a really, really nice bounce off of it. So now, you know, if you want to go below 80, this one is really struggling with 80. If it breaks 80, it's going down 78. Your entry is really below 78 to drive it all the way to 72-ish. So I would look for, a break of 78, retest, and then go down. But you see here, there's something, if you look at this volume profile here, let me see if it's shifted now. Well, I'll just delete this. Hide SVPs for a second, just to kind of give you an idea. So this whole sell-off here, come on. All right. Calling that VWAP. So now, if you think about it, right, the whole sell-off here happened and the heaviest sellers came in, or the most aggressive sellers came in at 86. So ideally, I don't know about you, but what I would want to do to enter some puts would be what? If I enter them now, are you going to pay more or less for puts? From the IV perspective, yeah, the IV is going to be inflated to the downside, right? So they're looking for people to get into the puts. I'm also aware of this level here that we just talked about, right? The first big shelf after the, the skinny belly here that we had. So let's just mark this level here. And we came very close to that level, right? So, if you want to always grab more, sure, you can grab more, whatever, right? But you see the levels are going to hit right on. Here, if you break this level, 78.32, then you have a little bit of congestion. Me personally, I would not short it, but is there people that would short this low and take it back to 76.80, 60, 88? Yeah, I would look to short here on the retest. Let them get the enjoyment of this. They're going to go here, and then when they're thinking long again, I'll be entering short side all the way to the value area low here, about 72 bucks. So that would be my plan on AMD. If you're talking about shares, my entry is $60 on this, and I'm not moving my limit order till that hits. So I'm expecting this to be, let's see, this whole run. I think we did it this way when we found that area, but let's see. Oh, sorry, missed it. So the idea here is that we're gonna, if we're able to lose this 70 level, then highly that I will get this level here at 58.29. Because this, I remember when they announced some stuff here around the earnings that this ran, we retested this level very closely here. If you think about the structure, right? You came here, you retested this level, and you bounced off of it. Now, if this level is not able to hold 71, does anyone see any particular patterns being made here?
Head and shoulders.
Head and shoulders.
Yeah, they were really nice, head and shoulders. And think about it, this stock is not very, I would say it's not very old when you think about it in terms of like years and years, like 1973, yeah, 50 years has been around public, whatnot. But now this is, think about it. These people have accumulated this guy, the inventors and the early adopters have bought this around $10, $20, even less. You grab the old time high volume profile and you'll be amazed. Like, these people, heaviest accumulation happened at $4. It'd be crazy if some of these people are not taking profits here now. So, if this head and shoulders plays out, there's potential that we get this at a really nice discount. So my price of 58.60 starts scaling. I'll probably be a buyer there along with many other buyers, right? So the demand, the aggressiveness of buying will go up in that level. So I would look to go shares there, and then the levels I had earlier for you on AMD here. Does that help, or you need me to bring back the levels?
Perfect, thank you.
And here's your levels from earlier. Yep. So you can go on a retest of that level here, or if we break this level, go short. I would probably wait for this to break this range here before I confirm long. And you could potentially see what tomorrow. Just think about Wyckoff, right? They could potentially set up a trap for shorts tomorrow if you're any bullish in the market. They could go do this. Oh, not that. They could go break right. Oh, come on. Break right here, and you literally go to the next supply, wherever this sell-off was. So watch that tomorrow. Either go long here on the retest, or you buy here on this peak. What else you guys got?
Order
Guys
filled.
wants buy. Let me see CL real quick. CL is your crude. You kind of want to be aware of it. What's going on there? Okay, let me just look at.
Yeah, what's your opinion on oil? Why do you think oil's gonna rocket?
The opinion oil is still the same for me as it was, when the war started in Ukraine. I think, me personally, this is just my opinion. If Putin is playing a chess game about the war and control and the currency war that we are in, actually, to stop myself, right? I know when I implemented the Discord, actually, I was gonna make a quiz about trading to see if you're ready to get into the Discord itself. So, quiz, I had the idea. I just implemented it. But yes, you came up with the idea and you have that survey. Okay, so speaking of the crude, right? So I personally think that Putin's waiting for the winter to really show his teeth to the world. Because in my opinion, when Germany and half of the Europe is dependent on natural gas from Putin, what do you think you would do? Anyone?
Shut it down. Have the cold winter.
Oh, you just shut off the energy, and then you come back to US and you'd be like, hey, you put those sanctions on us. I want you to remove all of those. And what do you think we would do? Probably play a little hard to get. Oh no, we're not going to remove it. And then what do you think Putin does to Europe? Oh, okay, turn off the gas, freeze to death, pay premium for this. And how do you think he finances the war? Think about it. He's giving you a little bit, but charging you 10 times the price. So for his little bit of gas, you're going to pay a lot, and you're going to finance his war, but he's still going to get to keep the supply for him and his alliances. So the idea is that he's going to turn off the gas, and I think it's already happening. I've read some news lately on oil that we're going to, he's shutting down the Nord Stream, I believe, the pipeline. I saw the electricity prices in Europe skyrocketed. So I honestly think they're holding here. This is our previous breakout level. So if you think about it, right here, this is a really nice demand zone that we are in right now. And all of a sudden, just think about this for a moment. Take whatever you want out of it. All of a sudden, right at the demand zone here, that we've been kind of hugging for some time here, you see the decreasing volume and selling, and the buying is staying constant on volume. Just amazing that the news are coming right at these levels right now. You guys surprised yet? Yeah. Matrix.
I don't know what's the current status is, but I had heard when we started taking our national supply of oil that they would only last till September anyway.
Well, I mean, I don't know how accurate these numbers are. We're below 30% right now, and I think Tony could probably figure it out for us. I think SRB, I think there's more to it. I just don't want to get too deep. Then you have, Saudi Arabia. What side are they going to be in? How are they going to react to it? Are they going to add supply? Are they not going to add supply? All of that plays a role. Your friendships with neighbors will be a big deal now. Let's look at Amazon. Short below. Let's see. Not 30 seconds. Let me hide these. All right. Let's see. So we've been making lower highs. Did we fill the gap? Oh, we filled the gap all the way. Yep, we filled the gap, came back to 123 and bounced. Let me see now. So our heaviest buying was at this level here, and that's our value area high of the buying. So this is our POC. So if you're going to go long on AMD, this is the level where you go long. And you patiently wait for this to go long here. Remember, think about fear. They're going to bring fear into this. Then you have the gap here, which we're kind of protecting, right? And then if you look at the sell-off here, you'll be able to know where the heaviest sell-off is going to be. Since we are, on 3-hour candles here, you have a higher high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower low. So lower high plus lower lows is bear strength. We are still in the bear strength, until we break this level here. I would not consider going much on the call side, right? So I would play the retest long here. And then I would drive that up to where? Anyone? If I'm going long on the retest of a sell-off POC, why would I do that? Anyone?
But you got the value high as your first target.
Yep, I have the value area here for the profit-taking kind of signal getting out. But why would I go long on this POC of the sell-off?
Order filled.
I covered this earlier. Yeah, because the sellers could not keep the price below their most important level that they built. They're not able to keep the price below. It means the bulls are kind of winning the battle here. And if they reclaim it and hold it there, then you have a strong chance that you're going to go here for $4 or $5 to 137.45. So I would go along here on this retest. Could you go along here on the break of this little shelf that you have, 127.99 if you're a scalper? I'd probably go here. I would go 128 breaks. There's a strong chance they're going to go back to 130, so you can scalp for $2. You can add levels in between, but as long as you remain the whole picture here, right? So the first idea here is it to go long or short on this level. Good job. Short first. Your idea is to go short first, long on a retest. Because you're still in the bearish market, right? I mean, you're in a bearish trend. Well, bearish market too. So here, if you look at it, right, I mean, you have this little trend line here as well. So you have a nice little down channel that you're in. And ideally, you come back here, let's say you push to here, short below, that 130 comes back a retest. Well, you enter short here. If you don't think we're going to kind of make it up all the way to 132, you see the candles, you see the market, you see if the switch is happening, you're shorting here. Your first short entry is here, and you can probably drive it all the way, first level here, second level here. And then, you have the bottom of this demand zone where you should probably start switching to some calls, longer data calls, maybe some swings at this level, because this is our volume accumulation setup. So this PowerPoint that you got that I'm referring to, you guys, it's right here. So if you guys look at it, this is the PowerPoint that I keep referring to here, and they keep tagging it. I'm building on and adding stuff to this the volume profile, so you guys might not have identical one as I have it, but I'm adding stuff for you guys to kind of keep expanding on it. Okay, so that's Amazon answer, Drew.
Oh, that was for YouTube. But yes, thank you.
Okay. Hopefully it answers it. Let's see. We had PPT. We had TLT. Let's look at some Treasury. Oh, this is a good level. I don't know. It looks bearish overall on a TLT, right? But this could very well turn around here too. Looks like a bear flag here from the pattern standpoint. Right, it looks like a perfect bear flag, but then you got to look at a little bit more here. I'm just going to look at this impulse move here. Let me look at this to here. Here, the POC was here. I'm just going to look at this impulse move. It's gonna bounce here, and it's probably gonna go to this value area here. It's probably gonna go to 116 because they're gonna hold. It seems like the double bottom here, and this candle here. Now that we're on a monthly chart, the monthly candle looks really bearish, but it has a lot of support here. The 110, 108, that was what was this, June low? So I would expect buyers to show up here. We could look at the monthly PVP real quick on this. Okay. Yeah, so the value area low of June is right here at 111. And they've been playing the June POC. It really needs to regain 114 to believe some kind of reversal in TLT, which would be probably not the best for the market. And then current, I guess August, not current, I guess we're in September now. This leaves a monthly VPOC here at 112.78. So this is a monthly VPOC. So it's most likely going to go to 112, and that's going to be the fight, struggle here. 114 breaks, we have a chance to 116, and then the 3 weekly 120. This should be really, really bad. Okay, Johnny, I got you. Don't be mad. Let's see, Adobe. Wow, they sold this bad boy, huh? It's a nice sell-off on this stock. It's the first company that invented subscription revenue. It's stuck kind of between the two value area lows here. Let me see which one did I grab here. Promote this guy. So yeah, if you lose this 372, you have a strong chance. So if you lose this low here, 361, there's a strong chance to, I guess, 348. That's where I would expect to kind of get out. So this would be my, if you're scalping or playing this would be a nice range to go short on this. And then you see, if you, what did I go to 2020? Even if you go a little bit further down on this whole run up, because this stock was like at 20s. You'll see, but obviously where they grabbed a lot of volume here, they're stuck on this value area high. So I'll play this here. If you're thinking, what's your idea, EJ? I know you trade long term and short term. Is more short term or long term vision? Okay, yeah. So if you're gonna be swinging for ER run up, let me see when is their ER first. So is that a Thursday? No. Yeah, I would go long over 372.19 on a retest or wait. I'll grab some shares there. And then, let me look at 8 hours real quick. That's a pretty good on Ashi candles right here. This is a pretty good level for reversal. And it looks like they're going to have good news in the ER. I don't know what they're announcing, but there's got to be some news they're going to announce
Order
here.
filled.
I'll join you on this. It's a good level. Risk-wise, if you're more risk-averse, wait for that 382 to be regained. Run down VAL. If you're pumping, let's say you're just playing the run-up, then you have a chance for $10. Gamblers, over 382, hold for 431 through ER. Or, wait till this shelf hits, at least take some profits here. So that would be the levels that I'm kind of after. And then it gets really choppy here. I wouldn't even touch it here. 393 to 410 gets just nasty. And then you have a little bit of space here. So these would be the key levels on it.
Order rejected.
Plus this guy here, I guess.
Order rejected.
Does that help? So long 372 with a run up. Maybe do a debit spread, buy some, sell some calls. And then I would look short at 361 and below, and probably goes 348. So this could pump through the ER, goes 393, and then fade all the way to 350. That's probably the most scenario that I would think happening here would be this. Then they pump it, go here.
Order rejected.
And then just go all the way to the value area low. Because not a lot of good earnings held their earnings. Okay. Let's see. Only if Kathy Wood sold docu, then it might go. Let's see, Tesla. Yeah, we're still far away from the buy zone here. Let's check real quick. SVP dudes. What they saying here? Yep, so we made a higher high, we made a higher value area low. If you're able to break, if you're able to, where do we close? 269. If you break this POC here, 271.87, high chance you're gonna go, probably to the next one of 273.17, or maybe even a little bit lower than that. I'll play this value area low first. 272.66. Highly you're gonna get there. Then you reclaim this level, retest it, then you have a little bit of space all the way to about 275. This area here might be pretty strong for selling here. We'll take a look at it. Yeah, I was short Tesla here. Definitely a short entry on Tesla here. So I'll be looking to short somewhere in this area. Just remember, it's not necessarily just one level. But this is the area for short entry here on Tesla. I'll look for that. Shorting tomorrow, you could definitely short it, but it's going to be probably due for a bounce here. Every time if you go back in the history when Tesla got sold off and it had similar look on the value areas, and it opens up in the middle and makes higher highs, this is probably going to go bounce here, and let's see how we do at 275. Are the futures up still? Okay, we're still on the path, so we're going to make another higher low here and then go. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. Still looking good for this run up all the way here. Did anyone take a long here if you're trading futures? Do you guys see where we bounced earlier? If you don't believe in this and I'm giving you live shit, I don't know what else do you expect? Look where we bounced here. Did we say 341 was ideal entry? And then all the way to 39.36, you would follow to buy along here. So if you're long, you had a couple of points here at 8 points for long. If you're playing ETH on it, okay. You take that, the whole thing you want to see. Okay, let's see, Tesla. So for Tessie, yeah, I would look to, the ideal play is short here. If you want to go long over 270.87, you have 272.66. This whole area here becomes your rejection area right here.
Order filled.
So not a strong supply, but there's one there. And if you break that, you have 275. One can go long on a retest and switch and become a seller here. And then previous low, obviously we're opening inside the range, or the previous day. We'll see where we open tomorrow. If we open above, let's say we gap up over 276 and we're able to hold on a retest, then you see that you have this value area here high for the rejection. And then the closest one that I see here, let's see, is that level that we're kind of highlighting here. So you have this bottom of this shelf here that I'll be cautious of, 281. And then you could probably go all the way to this level here, 284 to about, 286. And this would be a pretty nice shelf here for a rejection. And then I would probably take a look at this to confirm something real quick. Is that valid? Yeah, that's good. Looking to see if I'm on daily or if it was PVP for a moment. Okay. Does that help on Tessie? I think it could rip tomorrow, honestly. And Tessie had a really good rejection on that previous level there. Where was it? Here goes the Tesla. So on Tesla, just to kind of give you guys a recap of the last trade, this is where I got in long on Tesla here. Let's see where the hell is it now. Does everyone understand why I went long here on Tesla? On Friday when I mentioned go long on Tesla?
Resistance became support.
Yeah, resistance support, right? And then remember, volume accumulation setup. If this is true, then I should expect to see some volume at that level. And look what happened, right? I mean, this was a previous support here. There is a shelf here that's starting right here. And I'm talking about big shelf. It's starting right there at 74.95. So I was able to get in here. I held through some pain here. And then, poop. And I think this play went something like 400% right off of the demand zone of previous resistance, then support, and then resistance, and now broke, retest long. And now, what would you expect to happen if we go back here again?
You're short there.
I'll be short there, just simply what we just kind of covered. This would be a great short here again. Okay, let's see what else tickers wise. CRM. I'm interested in CRM, but not yet. Oh man. Did it just break this auction here? It did. Wow. What is your intention with CRM? Is it like intraday or what are you thinking?
I want to swing it for a couple weeks.
Long?
Yeah.
That's a perfect long. Why do you swing a long?
No, I saw the volume profile earlier. But it was at a support. It was a similar setup to like Nvidia's accumulation.
Yep.
So
pay attention to this chart for a moment. Take a mental snapshot here. Maybe just take this snapshot here. Now watch this. Anyone know what this chart looks like? Is this fairly identical to that? I mean, even though this is an outlier, but do you see this?
Yeah, that's like identical.
So yeah, this is a good level. Make sure if you're swinging far out, that your stop loss is below 145.
Okay. I'm thinking getting commons, so.
Oh, commons, yeah, this is
Yeah.
a great spot for commons, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely get comments here, but if you look at this profile here, I would add this accumulation here to this, because it might be deceiving. And look, look where they brought it back. You guys shocked? If you're gonna long CRM, this is your spot, and you might go through, but hold it. It's a really good company too. All of my company uses it. A lot of people implement CRM, and they have a lot of power now with Tableau. Yeah, this. I mean, you can, if you can get it here, you can get a nice. I mean, this is a skinny belly to value area high, guys, and this is a range to the bottom of this. Remember, we just talked about this. Here it's you can use this shelf here as your level, the first big shelf, or it just depends what you define big, right? Here is the level here if you want to break that, and that kind of really lines up. Let me believe this guy here was at the top of the range. So this is a pretty good level, and if you're gonna, let's say you have a stop loss on this, 148 could be your stop loss, but you'll get stopped out. I'll be looking somewhere below this shelf right here, like 144.30. I'd look to be my stop loss if you're going to be getting in on the shares. But it's a really good spot for shares, man. And I think they had an ER recently. Yeah, they had an ER, right? Didn't they pump them? They dumped them and pumped them in the ER or something like that?
Yeah, it gaps up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they gapped it up and then it literally sold off. And I think in this, I think we had a watch list. Now, I told folks to look for a 145 level to be adding shares on this. And it's right here now. Because this was at one point almost $400, if I remember. Maybe 300, 312. Yeah, this is a pretty good discount. I still think it has a little bit more to go, though. Well, let's see. So this is pre-COVID levels here. Below it. Yeah, this is a good spot, even for swings or whatever. When is their next? Well, if they just had it, they won't have it for a while. October, November, so they could do a little spring here, accumulate a little bit more. So this might be the spring here that we were looking for. So, I mean, for the calls, this might not be a bad spot here tomorrow. Maybe just add a little alarm on it. Yeah, Salesforce is really good. Does that help, Shorty?
Yeah, I have one more question too. So if you think AMD is gonna fall a little bit more, does that also include NVIDIA? Because you were talking about how NVIDIA is 130 is a good level.
Yep. I think this was a great level for NVIDIA to start adding, and that was my long ago entry for NVIDIA. I think here they're going to have a little bit more blood just because of the news that they're pumping now. And I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't researched it. But if you look here, naturally, this was a demand here. And NVIDIA consolidated in this level here for a very long time. Right? So whoever that was, what was this? About, 260 days, it was in this demand zone. So they're able to pump this off, much higher. They sent it to 360 and they had a couple of splits. So now what I would do here, honestly, is look at this zone last time where they accumulated and see what is it that they're going for. And if I know that they're going for here, and look where they bounced it. Does that make sense, Tori? So now for me, NVIDIA, this is a really, really strong level for buying. That level 132.44 was to me is a no-brainer to go long on this. I will go 10 out of 10 times I'll go long on this level as it approaches. And obviously the algorithms and this, look what they did. So all I did is grab this consolidation here, and I want to see where, what was the balance on it. And obviously I can see that it was almost like a D shape, almost like a perfect D shape volume profile here. So if you look, that tells you there was a lot of balance, and this obviously agrees with it. And look at this distribution, looks perfect. And they came back right to that level, man. And this is a great buy for NVIDIA as well. And what do you see in the news now? Think opposite right now. Switch your brain. What are you seeing in the news about NVIDIA?
That they can't sell chips to China, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about how do I say this to make sense? How quickly can this news change on NVIDIA?
Pretty quick.
So think about the importance on the news that are coming out as the stock is hitting. I would say this is a pivotal moment for NVIDIA. I mean, from this accumulation that lasted, call it a year, right? 260 days, trading days, that's a year. It lasted a year, and you bring me back to this level, and now you have PR news that China is not going to be allowed to buy. I call bullshit on your news. I think you're just building what in people? Fear. They don't want you to buy.
Right. Liquidity.
Yeah, so they don't want to fight with me and you, right? They don't want to be like, oh, fuck, we have another 100 million people buying here. Well, what do? Throw a bone to you and say, oh my God, NVIDIA is not going to sell in China. Well, let us buy all the fear of you selling now, because they just dumped it really nice level. I mean, you had and I called this before when people were saying that tech was running again. I called the bear flag here. I don't know who remembers, who doesn't. On the video, this was a beautiful bear flag building up. They were probably going to go lower one more time. And this is exactly what they're doing. They're bringing you back to the demand. And if you know anything about Wyckoff, I mean, this is your stage one. You're accumulating. Then you have what? You have a trend. You're going to have Anna Cooling calls it a test, come back, and then go higher. But then here's your stage three, right? This is where your distribution is happening. So you had a nice distribution, retest short, and you're bringing it back to the level here where reaccumulation most likely is going to happen. So yeah, this is a great level. And whenever you have a balance like this that's fairly strong, I always suggest that you just grab that balance and look at that balance before the breakout. So I wouldn't include necessarily this candle because it'll skew stuff, but like this level here is right on the balance, and that's where they're gonna go. If you break below this level, then where do you think they're gonna go next level if they break right below this level where we bounced? Where would you think they take it?
Probably value area low.
It's pretty much automatic. This would be like an instant drop of 132 here all the way to this area. And it's just natural how the stock market works. They would drop it right here to the bottom. So this is a good spot for stocks, contrary to what we are doing right now in the market, but it's a good zone for bounce. And then if you look at Qs, so I'm just on a different chart. So if you look at Qs here, you look at their buying, right? This is their whole buying impulse and see where they are. So you see here, we had that POC. And what happened here? We broke below it, we lost it, and then we kind of came back into this heavy congested volume, and you see that we had a crazy run here. And now, you see this right here, you're going to expect buyers to be present here, 289.64, because that's right below this shelf here, if you guys look right. So it's right here where the shelf would appear, so the buyers are going to be there. So if we lose, let's say, 293, the low of the week, or this shelf here, really not much to tell based on a bigger profile. We have to kind of dig deep in here. If we go from here to kind of see what's going on. So we are below the value area low of the rundown. So in order for me to trust it to go long, you have to kind of reclaim this level 374, and then you have a high chance to go to 312. I do expect this bounce to happen probably this week. And here's our bear flag. So here's 1 tap, 2 taps, and now we're trying to hold this level. So if we are able to hold here, and let's look at the daily real quick, see how it looks. So let's see, if you're able to reclaim this and go along, you go along on a retest. Otherwise, I'll probably short it right below this 289 to 64 because there will be a lot more blood coming at that level. So if you lose this, you know, you have a shelf right here at 279. So that's about $10 shelf right here. They're looking, so that's pretty good range here. If they lose this, I will short here. And then obviously there's a little bit of chop here. There's here, that guy. And then I would expect them to show up again here at this value area low at 251. And this again looks like a beautiful bear flag. You go higher if you like. So let's see. So here we made a lower value area low, but higher value area high. So until this POC here from 297, you could go along here. And you should probably get out here at 307, unfortunately, because that's where this POC is lying at 300. So 297.34, you could go along. So you go along here, go along to 301. And then if you see that we are coming up here and you see a lot of resistance, candles getting smaller, you're noticing anything unusual about volume, this will also be a pretty decent spot to short. So long on retest, short on first try if you see weakness. We're making higher lows on 15 minutes now. So let's see, this is a consolidation here right now. So I'm just marking these levels. So this would be the area. And then of course you can just take this sell off here. There's August 26. So that'll be plenty. And see where these bad boys are and look what this is telling us. It's literally in that zone where, you know, you definitely should not take any trades in between here, but this is a zone that you're looking to short. So long here, get out right there. And then you're short here all the way to the first, you know, obviously previous value area low 298, but you could go all the way to here, which was the level that you're looking for long, drive it all the way down. If you lose that, then you go short on the retest of 300 and then drive it all the way to whatever this volume profile sets up to be. But for now, you should go to about 290. Any questions on this?
Can you take a look at PayPal?
Is it above or below 80? Wow, about. They're doing good.
Order rejected.
It looks identical because this stock was the first one to fall
Order filled.
when we turned bearish. All the fintechs were the first one to go down. Yeah, so this was our previous zone where we accumulated. So what I'd like to do here real quick is this. Level 77 is crucial. If it dips to 85, this would be a good level to buy some calls, the EVR or something. It's a little far out, but yeah. What are you looking, shares or long term?
I'm looking at shares. I had 75 for shares.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy shares here. I think it's gonna come back down. I wouldn't buy shares just yet. I would be looking at that level that we said was the middle of that area. So that was where are you? That was first entry about 77-ish to start accumulating. The value area low of that area is at 73.75. So between 77.29, 73.75, there's going to be aggressive buying. I would join them there. I wouldn't join them just yet. They're still, yeah. It looks like a a bull flag from here. If you connect these right here, what time frame? Last 6 hours. So it looks like a nice little bull flag or whatever, falling wedge, whatever you want to call it. Here, so if you're playing this, then you can play the breakout of this 96.52 previous high, and then the low here, just structurally make it short here, take that off, and then here's your buying activity here. So I had a, I guess, earnings gap up. That's what happened. They just filled that gap and they defended it. So, and I mean, we're inside the value area now, so it's really kind of imbalanced for this whole run up. I would expect buyers at 85, that's 77, which is a value area low, very close to it of the whole run up, and then the POC and the VAL and this value area low to the shelf. So yeah, that'll be the way I play PayPal. Be aware of this POC here, because we lost it really quickly here. I would say that this whole supply here was too powerful for it. Yeah, so we claimed that POC there. Yeah, so value area low, we lost this one. Yeah, so bullish, go ahead. You could go over 92.44, and then you could probably push it to the previous high, 96.42, about $4. You're scalping shares wise, 77 to 73. Not worth buying before. What else you guys got? If you guys were to rate tonight, did you learn anything on volume profile? Did you not? Do you guys feel like you're ready to go one level a little bit deeper in scenarios and value areas and playing them, or you guys need a little bit to absorb before we go to the next step and learn more about shapes? And what are the shapes of the volume profile telling you? If there's any dependencies between them, what's the best way to kind of look at them? What do you guys think? Not ready yet? Reiterate knowledge, or what's the idea? Okay, so we got one deeper. It's not crowded if you're a day trader, Cabe. So okay, so we'll look to set up a little bit deeper where we'll cover, the shapes of the volume profiles. If you guys don't know them all, you have the lowercase b, you have the regular b, you have a p, you have a d, and all of those come into the long and short side. So like you had a short B. This is a long B compared to this one. There's different meanings between all of these. One traps longs, one traps shorts. One means rally is kind of returning and flipping to the bearish side. One is bullish side. So all of those dependencies, I don't know if you guys know them. Scrooge, do you know all of those, or how do you feel about those? McDuck. So those become a little bit more higher level, more details to learn the structure of the market and the behavior. And a lot of people that trade markets, right, when you look at this, you honestly don't even need, you don't even really need candles. We just need this to kind of know the levels, the shapes, and dependencies between them. If you can look at this, most people would tell you the key levels, where the short entries would be, where the weaknesses and where the imbalances are. especially if you give them a tool in addition to this, you give them, hey, you can use this tool here. Let's say this. Well, it makes it so much easier now to know, what is my short level without being biased to the price. This is my short, this is my exit, and just place them off of those without looking at candles. If it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, you hit your profits. So you could definitely use that, and then it becomes more understanding the bid spreads. If you want to look at into market profile, which is different than volume profile, and add that on top of it, it gets really, really deep into it, right? I mean, you have the balance areas, then you learn about the VPOC, the weeklies, the monthlies, the imbalances. So all of that can come into the next level, but dependencies between them becomes key. Okay. Well, if you guys learned something, I'm glad you did. Hopefully tomorrow you guys can look at some of these, especially the ES, what we talked about, and the plan on it. I'll post the charts. Let me bring the candles up. I'll post the charts on ES and a few other ones, the ETFs, NQs, Qs, and SPYs for you guys in the Shorty corner, so you guys can pick it up and have the levels kind of marked them if you're new and learning. So that way you can see how they react, and you can go back to your charts and see, hey, what did he see? What did I miss, or what did he miss? So that way we can kind of pick up and learn as you go. Okay. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you had a good session. Let's see how we open tomorrow. I'll be live, so we can kind of go over the trades. I'll run through the setups as we see them, but just be patient tomorrow. We're, getting a little bit tight here, and I think we're going to have a little bit of a bullish run coming up. So just be patient.
Shorty, really quick. How many spots do we have left in the Discord?
I have to check with Sequence. If there's any, it would be minimal. I mean, we filled up pretty quick on the 50 that we had open. I have to check with him. If somebody just send them over. Otherwise, I think we'll have to wait, because it's a lot to teach in terms of numbers.
Seems like we have a lot of interest in the YouTube right now, so that's why I was asking.
Yep. No, thank you for asking.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Good night.